In which European region was rugby league football prohibited between 1940 and 1944? Vichy, France. During World War II, the Vichy regime in France banned rugby league football between 1940 and 1944. This was part of a broader policy by the collaborationist government to promote traditional French values, leading to the suppression of professional sports and the confiscation of rugby league assets. What was the name of the government payment system that was replaced by child benefit in 1975? Family allowance. The family allowance was a state benefit introduced in the UK in 1945, paid for each child after the first. It was replaced in 1975 by the child benefit, which streamlined and expanded support for families with children, providing payment for every child in a family regardless of birth order. Which gas, with the chemical formula C2H2, is formed by the reaction of water and calcium carbide, and produces an intensely hot flame, making it suitable for use in lamps and welding torches? Acetylene or ethine. Acetylene, C2H2, also known as ethine, is the simplest alkyne. It is commonly produced by the reaction of calcium carbide with water. Its highly exothermic combustion reaction generates a flame with a temperature of up to 3300 degrees Celsius, making it ideal for oxyacetylene welding and cutting applications. Which international confederation of environmental organizations was founded in North America by David Brower? Friends of the Earth. Friends of the Earth International is a global network of environmental organizations operating in 73 countries. It was founded in 1971 by David Brower in North America, becoming a significant voice in international environmental activism and advocacy for sustainability and social justice. Which tax, introduced during World War II to restrict spending on non-essential goods, was replaced in 1973 by value-added tax? Purchase tax. Purchase tax was a consumption tax levied on luxury goods and services in the UK during and after World War II, introduced to curb inflation and discourage non-essential spending. It was eventually replaced by value-added tax, VAT, in 1973 as part of tax modernization and harmonization with European Economic Community standards. Which American-born businessman tried but failed to have Bond Street tube station renamed after his department store? Gordon Selfridge. Gordon Selfridge was a prominent American-born British retail magnate who founded Selfridge's department store in London. His attempt to rename Bond Street tube station after his store highlights his ambitious marketing strategies and significant influence on London's commercial landscape in the early 20th century. In chemistry, what term is used to describe a chemical reaction when heat is absorbed from the surroundings? Endothermic. An endothermic reaction is a chemical process where energy, typically in the form of heat, is absorbed from the surroundings. This absorption leads to a decrease in the temperature of the surroundings and an increase in the enthalpy of the system. Examples include photosynthesis and the dissolution of certain salts in water. Which insect is the host of the parasitic organism that causes sleeping sickness? TSE fly. The TSE fly is the primary biological vector responsible for transmitting trypanosomiasis, commonly known as sleeping sickness, in humans and Nagna in animals. The parasitic organism, Trypanosoma brucei, develops within the fly before being transmitted through its bite, primarily affecting sub-Saharan Africa. Which British composer was working on an operetta called The Emerald Isle at the time of his death in 1900? Arthur Sullivan. Sir Arthur Sullivan was a renowned British composer, best known for his collaboration with W. S. Gilbert on a series of 14 operettas. At the time of his death in 1900, he was working on The Emerald Isle, which was later completed by Edward German, further solidifying his legacy in British classical music. The Best Friend of Charleston, completed in 1831, was the first example of what to be built in the USA. Locomotive or train. The Best Friend of Charleston, completed in 1831, was the first steam-powered locomotive built in the United States for commercial service. It operated on the South Carolina Canal and Railroad Company tracks, marking a significant milestone in American railway history and the nation's industrial development. Louis IV and Louis V were kings of France in which century? 10th. Louis IV, Louis d'Outremont, and Louis V, Louis le Fainéant, were kings of France during the 10th century. Their reigns were part of the late Carolingian dynasty, a period characterized by political instability and the decline of royal authority before the rise of the Capetian dynasty. Which poem by Rupert Brooke begins with the line, "If I should die, think only this of me"? The Soldier. The Soldier is one of the most famous war poems by Rupert Brooke, an English poet known for his idealistic sonnets written during World War I. The poem expresses a profound sense of patriotism and romanticized sacrifice for England, becoming an iconic piece of war literature. Millefiori is a technique used to produce colorful decorative patterns in which material? Glassware. Millefiori, an Italian term meaning 1,000 flowers, is an ancient glasswork technique used to create distinctive decorative patterns within glass. This intricate method involves fusing colorful glass rods, canes, together, stretching them, and then slicing them to reveal cross-sections that resemble floral or abstract motifs. What is the name of the eastern part of the Sahara Desert, lying between the Nile and the Red Sea in northeastern Sudan? Nubian Desert. The Nubian Desert is located in northeastern Sudan, situated between the Nile River and the Red Sea. It is a significant arid region and a part of the Greater Sahara Desert ecosystem. What is the alternative title of the W. H. Auden poem which begins, "Stop all the clocks"? Funeral Blues. W. H. Auden's poem, Funeral Blues, is famously known for its opening line, "Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone." It was originally published as 12 in a collection and gained widespread recognition after being featured in the film 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Which U.S. state is abbreviated to NA? Nebraska. The abbreviation, NA, stands for Nebraska, a state located in the Midwestern region of the United States. Its capital is Lincoln, and its largest city is Omaha. In Japanese homes, what is a shoji? A screen or sliding door. A shoji is a traditional Japanese partition made of translucent paper over a wooden lattice frame, used as a door, window, or room divider. It allows diffuse light to pass through, contributing to the serene aesthetic of traditional Japanese architecture. Which military figure lived in a house famously known as Number 1, London? Duke of Wellington. Arthur Wellesley, the first Duke of Wellington, famously resided at Apsley House, known as Number 1 London, located at Hyde Park Corner. This historic residence served as his home after his victory at the Battle of Waterloo. Who was the second man to walk on the moon? Edwin or Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin was the second person to walk on the moon, following Neil Armstrong, during the Apollo 11 mission on July 20, 1969. He served as the lunar module pilot for this historic spaceflight. Which desert area in Southern California comprises part of what is known as the Great Basin? Mojave or Mojave. The Mojave Desert is a significant desert and arid region in Southern California, extending into parts of Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. While geographically distinct, parts of it border the Great Basin Desert to its north, sharing some ecological characteristics and contributing to the broader arid landscape of the western United States. Which American composer was working on the music for a film called The Goldwyn Follies at the time of his death in 1937? George Gershwin. George Gershwin, a celebrated American composer, was renowned for his innovative blend of classical music and jazz. He was actively working on the score for the film, The Goldwyn Follies, when he passed away in 1937, leaving the project unfinished. His legacy includes iconic works such as Rhapsody in Blue and the opera Porgy and Bess. Sir Ronald Ross became the first Briton to win the Nobel Prize for Medicine for his research into which disease? Malaria. Sir Ronald Ross, a British medical doctor, was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1902 for his groundbreaking research on malaria. He definitively demonstrated in 1897 that mosquitoes transmit the malarial parasite, a discovery that was pivotal for understanding the disease's epidemiology and developing effective control strategies. In the manufacture of cloth, what is the name for the absorbent clay-like substance containing hydrated aluminium silicates that is used to cleanse the material? Fuller's earth. Fuller's earth is a naturally occurring clay material primarily composed of hydrated aluminum silicates, distinguished by its excellent absorbent properties. Historically, it was employed by fullers to degrease and cleanse wool and textiles, which gave it its name. Today, it is utilized in various industrial applications, including oil filtration, as a sorbent for spills, and in cosmetic formulations. Which vitamin is produced by the body when it is exposed to sunlight? D. Vitamin D is unique among vitamins as the human body can synthesize it endogenously when the skin is exposed to ultraviolet B, UVB radiation from sunlight. It plays a critical role in maintaining bone health by regulating calcium and phosphate levels and is also essential for immune system function. NaR is the chemical symbol for which element used in the manufacture of soap? Sodium. NaR is the chemical symbol for sodium, an alkali metal. Sodium compounds, particularly sodium hydroxide, Li, are essential in the process of saponification, which is the chemical reaction where fats and oils are converted into soap and glycerol. In the Bible, what was the name of the land situated east of Eden that Cain chose to flee to after murdering his brother Abel? The land of Nod. In the biblical book of Genesis, following Cain's murder of his brother Abel, he was cursed by God and banished from his home. He subsequently departed to a region described as the land of Nod, which was situated east of Eden. This narrative is a foundational account within Abrahamic religious traditions. Which iconic item, highly beneficial for London tourists, was designed in 1931 by Harry Beck? London Underground Map. Harry Beck, an electrical draftsman, designed the revolutionary London Underground Map in 1931. His design, which simplified the complex network into a clear, diagrammatic representation, has become an enduring symbol of London and influenced metro map designs worldwide. In which English county is the town of Wootton Bassett, renowned for its military marches? Wiltshire. Wootton Bassett, now Royal Wootton Bassett, is a town in Wiltshire, England. It gained national prominence and later royal patronage for its tradition of publicly honouring fallen British service personnel repatriated through nearby Rathlingham. Which former London prison, established in the 12th century by the Bishop of Winchester, lent its name to a generic term for imprisonment? The Clink. The Clink prison, established in the 12th century in Southwark, London, was infamous for its harsh conditions. Its name became a colloquial term, the Clink, for any prison or jail, reflecting its historical significance in English penal history. The Battle of Borodino, which occurred on September 7, 1812, took place in which country? Russia. The Battle of Borodino was a major engagement of the Napoleonic Wars fought on September 7, 1812, between Napoleon's Grande Army and the Russian army. It was one of the bloodiest single-day battles in history, part of Napoleon's disastrous Russian campaign. Which invention, first introduced in 1921 by the American John Augustus Larson, is used to measure physiological responses to a certain truthfulness? Lie detector, or polygraph. The modern polygraph, commonly known as a lie detector, was invented by John Augustus Larson in 1921. It measures and records several physiological indices such as blood pressure, pulse, respiration, and skin conductivity while a person is asked and answers a series of questions. According to the Bible, what was the name of the ancient city to which the prophet Jonah was commanded to deliver God's message? Nineveh. Nineveh was an ancient Assyrian city of Upper Mesopotamia, situated on the east bank of the Tigris River. In the biblical book of Jonah, it is the city to which God sends the prophet Jonah to preach repentance, highlighting its historical and religious significance. The Battle of Craon, which occurred on March 7, 1814, took place in which country? France. The Battle of Craon was fought on March 7, 1814, during the Napoleonic Wars, between French forces under Emperor Napoleon I and a combined Russian-Prussian force. It was part of Napoleon's valiant, but ultimately unsuccessful, campaign to defend France from the invading Allied armies. The Central Criminal Court in London, popularly known as the Old Bailey, is located on the site of which historic prison that closed in 1902? Newgate Prison. The Old Bailey, London's Central Criminal Court, stands on the former site of Newgate Prison. Newgate was a notorious prison with a long history, dating back to the 12th century, and was known for its harsh conditions before its demolition in 1902 to make way for the current courthouse. Mount Kosciuszko, with a height of 2,228 meters, is the highest mountain in which country? Australia. Mount Kosciuszko is the highest peak on the Australian mainland, situated in the snowy mountains of New South Wales. It is part of the Great Dividing Range and is a significant natural landmark within Kosciuszko National Park, offering unique alpine ecosystems. Mozart's Symphony No. 38 is named after which European capital city, which also hosted the world premiere of his opera, Don Giovanni? Prague. Mozart's Symphony No. 38 is famously known as the Prague Symphony, a testament to the city's profound admiration for his compositions. Prague was also the venue for the highly successful world premiere of his acclaimed opera, Don Giovanni, in 1787, further solidifying the city's connection to the celebrated composer. Who did John Bercow replace as Speaker of the House of Commons on June 22, 2009? Michael Martin. John Bercow served as Speaker of the House of Commons from 2009 to 2019, succeeding Michael Martin. The Speaker is the chief officer and highest authority of the House of Commons, responsible for maintaining order and presiding over debates. Listed at number 69 on the periodic table, which chemical element has the symbol Tm? Thulium. Thulium, Tm, is a chemical element and one of the rarest of the lanthanide series, or rare earth metals. With an atomic number of 69, it is primarily used in specialized lasers and certain medical applications, such as X-ray sources. Specifically, what would a person have a fear of if they suffered from gynophobia? Women. Gynophobia is a specific phobia characterized by an intense and irrational fear of women. Phobias are a type of anxiety disorder where individuals experience extreme distress when exposed to the object or situation they fear, often leading to avoidance behaviors. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first two men to walk on the moon in 1969, but which fellow American became the third man to achieve this feat on November 19, 1969, along with fellow astronaut Alan Bean in the Apollo 12 mission? Charles Conrad. Charles Pete Conrad Jr. was an American astronaut who achieved the distinction of being the third person to walk on the moon. He accomplished this during the Apollo 12 mission, which was the second crewed mission to land on the lunar surface, on November 19, 1969. In the House of Commons, which word of three letters is used by members supporting a motion vote? IA. In the British House of Commons, members indicate their support for a motion by shouting, "Aye," during a voice vote. This traditional parliamentary procedure is followed by a division, physical vote, if the outcome of the voice vote is unclear or challenged. On first looking into Chapman's house in 1816 and the Eve of St. Agnes in 1820 are works by which British poet? John Keats. John Keats was a major English Romantic poet, renowned for his lyrical poetry. While the question refers to Chapman's house, the correct title of his famous sonnet is, On First Looking into Chapman's Homer, 1816, alongside other celebrated works like The Eve of St. Agnes, 1820. Specifically, what would a person have a fear of if they suffered from pediophobia? Dolls. Pediophobia is the specific phobia characterized by an intense and irrational fear of dolls, mannequins, or similar human-like figures. This fear can often stem from a sense of unease or the uncanny valley effect, where artificial figures closely resemble but are not quite human, leading to revulsion. Listed at number 96 in the periodic table, which chemical element has the symbol Cm? Curium. Curium is a synthetic transuranic radioactive chemical element with the symbol Cm and atomic number 96. It was first synthesized at the University of California, Berkeley, in 1944. Which British poet authored I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, also known as Daffodils, in 1807 and Lucy Gray, in 1798? William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was a major English Romantic poet who, with Samuel Taylor Coleridge, helped to launch the Romantic age in English literature with their joint publication Lyrical Ballads in 1798. His works are central to the study of English literature. In the House of Lords, which seven-letter word is used by members supporting a motion vote? Content. In the British House of Lords, members who vote in favour of a motion are referred to as content. This term is part of the specific parliamentary procedure and terminology used within the UK's legislative bodies. What was the name of the British Army officer who, in 1953, gained recognition as the leader of the successful British expedition to Mount Everest? John Hunt. Sir John Hunt was a British Army officer who led the 9th British expedition to Mount Everest in 1953, which successfully placed Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay on the summit. This achievement marked a significant milestone in exploration and mountaineering history. What is the national currency of Thailand? Baht. The Thai baht, THB, is the official currency of the Kingdom of Thailand. It is one of the most actively traded emerging market currencies and plays a crucial role in the Southeast Asian economy. What is the national currency of Malaysia? Ringgit. The Malaysian ringgit, Mir, is the official currency of Malaysia. Its name, meaning jagged, in Malay, originally referred to the serrated edges of Spanish silver dollars widely used in the region during the 16th and 17th centuries. From which musical does the song, On the Street Where You Live, originate? My Fair Lady. On the Street Where You Live is a renowned song from the classic Broadway musical, My Fair Lady. Composed by Frederick Lowe with lyrics by Alan J. Lerner, the musical premiered in 1956 and is based on George Bernard Shaw's play, Pygmalion. Which river has gained the nickname, China's Sorrow? Yellow River, Hwang He, Hwang Ho. The Yellow River, also known as the Hwang He, is the second longest river in China and is often called China's Sorrow, due to its devastating floods throughout history. These floods, caused by the river's high silt content and frequent changes in course, have resulted in immense loss of life and destruction. Which family ruled Russia from 1613 until the 1917 revolution? Romanov. The Romanov dynasty was the second and final imperial dynasty to rule Russia, reigning from 1613 to 1917. Their rule ended with the February Revolution of 1917, leading to the abdication of Emperor Nicholas II and the eventual rise of the Soviet Union. Odette and Prince Siegfried are lovers in which ballet? Swan Lake. Swan Lake is one of the most famous and frequently performed ballets, composed by Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky in 1875-76. It tells the story of Odette, a princess turned into a swan by an evil sorcerer's curse, and Prince Siegfried, who falls in love with her. Which Spanish city is traditionally known for its manufacture of swords and knives? Toledo. Toledo, a historic city in central Spain, has been renowned for its steel production and sword making since Roman times. The city's master craftsmen developed a unique tempering process that produced blades of exceptional strength and flexibility, making Toledo swords highly sought after globally. Zogai proclaimed himself king of which country in 1928? Albania. Ahmed Zogu, who had been Albania's president, proclaimed himself King Zog I of Albania in 1928, establishing a monarchy. His reign lasted until 1939 when Albania was invaded by fascist Italy. Where in Wales was the first area of outstanding natural beauty, AONB, established in 1956? The Gower Peninsula. The Gower Peninsula, located on the southwest coast of Wales, was designated as the UK's first area of outstanding natural beauty in 1956. This designation recognizes and protects its distinctive landscape, diverse wildlife, and cultural heritage, ensuring its preservation for future generations. Which word, derived from the Latin for fire, is applied to volcanic rock formed from cooling magma or lava and solidifying from a molten state? Igneous. Igneous rocks are formed from the solidification of molten rock material. This process can occur either below the Earth's surface, intrusive, or on the surface, extrusive, forming various types like granite and basalt. What species of rodent is the world's largest? The capybara. The capybara, Hydrochoerus hydrochaerus, is the world's largest living rodent, native to South America. These semi-aquatic mammals are known for their social behavior and often inhabit densely vegetated areas near water bodies. What was the name of Alexander the Great's father who ruled Macedonia between 359 and 336 BC? Philip II. Philip II ruled Macedon from 359 to 336 BC and was the father of Alexander the Great. He is credited with transforming Macedon into a dominant military power and unifying much of Greece under his leadership. Which composer's music forms the basis of the ballet Pineapple Pole? Sullivan. The ballet, Pineapple Pole, is choreographed to the music of Arthur Sullivan, renowned for his collaborations with W. S. Gilbert in comic operettas. This particular ballet, created by John Cranko, incorporates various musical themes from Sullivan's popular works. Which French city, the capital of the Côte d'Or department, is famous for its mustard? Dijon. Dijon is a significant city in eastern France, famously known as the culinary capital of Burgundy and for its distinctive mustard. The city holds a strong historical association with mustard production, dating back to the Middle Ages. A government paper setting out proposals and inviting consultation on a policy, before it is ever presented as a white paper, is identified by what color? Green paper. In parliamentary systems, a green paper is a consultative document issued by the government, outlining policy proposals for public discussion and feedback. It serves as an exploratory stage, preceding a white paper, which typically contains firm policy proposals for legislative action. Who won the 2010 Man Booker Prize with the novel The Finkeler Question? Howard Jacobson. Howard Jacobson was awarded the Man Booker Prize in 2010 for his novel, The Finkeler Question. The Man Booker Prize is one of the most prestigious literary awards globally, recognizing excellence in English language fiction. In the endocrine system in the human body, what name is given to the pair of glands situated at the top of the kidneys? Adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are vital endocrine glands located superior to each kidney. They produce hormones such as adrenaline, epinephrine, and cortisol, which regulate metabolism, blood pressure, stress response, and immune function. Who was the famous son of Pepin the Short? Charlemagne. Charlemagne, or Charles the Great, was the son of Pepin the Short and a pivotal figure in European history. As king of the Franks and later emperor of the Romans, he united a vast portion of Western Europe, fostering a cultural revival known as the Carolingian Renaissance. What do the letters MI stand for in MI5 and MI6? Military intelligence. MI5, Security Service, and MI6, Secret Intelligence Service, are the domestic and foreign intelligence agencies of the United Kingdom, respectively. The MI designation originates from the War Office's Directorate of Military Intelligence, reflecting their historical roots. Which vessel, designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel, was the first ocean-going steamer to be built of iron? SS Great Britain. The SS Great Britain, designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel, was launched in 1843 and represented a monumental leap in maritime engineering. It was the first iron-hulled, propeller-driven ocean liner, showcasing innovative design and materials for its era. The okapi is most closely related to which other African mammal? Giraffe. The okapi, Okapia johnstoni, is an elusive artiodactyl mammal native to the northeastern Democratic Republic of the Congo in Central Africa. Despite its zebra-like stripes, genetic studies confirm it is the only living relative of the giraffe, sharing the same family, Giraffidae. What is the official London residence of the Archbishop of Canterbury? Lambeth Palace. Lambeth Palace has served as the official London residence of the Archbishop of Canterbury, the principal leader of the Church of England and the worldwide Anglican Communion, for over 800 years. This historic site holds significant religious and architectural importance. Which of the planets in our solar system is closest to the Sun? Mercury. Mercury is the smallest planet in our solar system and holds the distinction of being the closest to the Sun. Due to its close proximity, it completes an orbit around the Sun in just 88 Earth days. Sparrow grass is an alternative name for which plant? Asparagus. Sparrow grass is an older or dialectal term for asparagus, Asparagus officinalis, a perennial flowering plant species widely cultivated as a vegetable. The name is believed to be a corruption of the Greek word, asparagos. At which hotel in Los Angeles was Robert Kennedy assassinated in 1968? Ambassador. Robert F. Kennedy, a prominent U.S. senator and presidential candidate, was assassinated at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles on June 5, 1968. This tragic event occurred shortly after his victory in the California primary election, profoundly impacting American politics. What is the island country native to the arboreal primate known as the lemur? Madagascar. Lemurs are endemic to Madagascar, an island nation off the southeast coast of Africa. Their unique evolutionary path on this isolated island makes them a significant subject in biodiversity studies and conservation efforts. The Titanic had two sister ships, name either. Britannic, Olympic. The RMS Titanic, famous for its tragic sinking in 1912, was part of a trio of Olympic-class ocean liners. Its two sister ships were the RMS Olympic and the HMHS Britannic, all built by the Harland and Wolff shipyard for the White Star Line. A dish served, à la cressy, always contains which vegetable? Carrot. The term, à la cressy, in French cuisine indicates a dish prepared with or containing carrots. Crecy-en-Ponthieu, a commune in northern France, is historically renowned for its excellent carrots, thus lending its name to dishes featuring the vegetable. September 29th is a quarter day in the legal calendar when, traditionally, rents were due and magistrates were chosen. What is the name applied to this day? Michaelmas. Michaelmas, observed on September 29th, is one of the 4 traditional English quarter days, historically marking divisions of the legal and financial year. It was a customary time for settling rents, accounts, and for the election of magistrates, particularly in medieval times. Which country's London embassy was seized by hostage-takers in 1980? Iran. The Iranian embassy siege in London occurred in April to May 1980, when armed Iranian Arab separatists took hostages at the embassy. The siege was famously ended by an assault by the British Army's Special Air Service, SAS, making it a significant event in modern British history and counterterrorism. Which theatre was Abraham Lincoln attending when he was assassinated? Ford's Theatre. President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth at Ford's Theatre in Washington, D.C. on April 14, 1865. This tragic event occurred just days after the end of the American Civil War, profoundly impacting the nation's Reconstruction efforts. Edward Fairfax Rochester is a character in which 19th-century novel? Jane Eyre. Edward Fairfax Rochester is a central character in Charlotte Bronte's influential 1847 novel, Jane Eyre. He is the brooding and complex master of Thornfield Hall, whose mysterious past intertwines with the protagonist Jane Eyre's life, exploring themes of morality, social class, and independence. When Argentinians landed on South Georgia in 1982, an event which led to the Falklands conflict, what had they supposedly come to collect? Scrap metal. The Falklands War, a brief but intense conflict between Argentina and the United Kingdom, was sparked in part by Argentine scrap metal workers landing on South Georgia in March 1982. This incident escalated tensions, leading to the full-scale Argentine invasion of the Falkland Islands shortly thereafter. What is the official residence of the Lord Mayor of London? Mansion House. Mansion House serves as the official residence and workplace of the Lord Mayor of London during their year in office. Located in the City of London, it is a significant historic building used for ceremonial events, banquets, and hosting visiting dignitaries. Known as the evening star, which planet in our solar system is the closest in size to Earth? Venus. Venus is often referred to as the evening star, or morning star, due to its extreme brightness and visibility. It is the second planet from the Sun and is often called Earth's sister planet, because of their similar size, mass, and bulk composition, despite Venus having a vastly different and hostile atmosphere. What codename was given to the German invasion of Russia in May 1941? Barbarossa. Operation Barbarossa was the codename for Nazi Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union during World War II, launched on June 22, 1941. This massive military campaign was a crucial turning point in the war, opening the Eastern Front and leading to some of the largest and most brutal conflicts in human history. What name, derived from the German, to Joan, was given to the Nazi takeover of the Austrian Republic in 1938? ANSCHLUSS. The Anschluss refers to the annexation of Austria into Nazi Germany on March 12, 1938. This act of aggression by Hitler was a violation of the Treaty of Versailles and was a significant step in his expansionist foreign policy that ultimately led to World War II. Which 19th century novel is subtitled, The Parish Boy's Progress? Oliver Twist. Oliver Twist, published in 1838, is the second novel by Charles Dickens and is subtitled, The Parish Boy's Progress. The book is celebrated for its vivid portrayal of the impoverished underworld of London and its sharp critique of social injustices during the Victorian era. What is the usual collective noun for a group of toads? Knot. A knot is the traditional collective noun used to describe a group of toads. This term is an example of the unique nomenclature sometimes applied to gatherings of various animal species, reflecting older linguistic traditions in natural history. Who authored the play, Arms and the Man? George Bernard Shaw. Arms and the Man is a satirical play written by George Bernard Shaw, first performed in 1894. It challenges romantic notions of war and heroism, making it a significant work in anti-romantic comedy and a staple of dramatic literature. Whose report in December 1942 led to the establishment of the National Health Service, NHS? William Beveridge. The Beveridge Report, officially titled Social Insurance and Allied Services, was published in December 1942. Authored by William Beveridge, it laid the foundational principles for the modern welfare state in the UK, leading directly to the creation of the NHS in 1948 and other social security programs. Which river flows through the Grand Canyon? Colorado River. The Colorado River is a major river in the southwestern United States and northern Mexico, known for carving out the Grand Canyon over millions of years. This immense canyon is a testament to the river's erosive power and a prominent geological feature. Which part of the mouth can be affected by quinsy? The tonsils. Quinsy, also known as perotonsillar abscess, is a rare but serious complication of tonsillitis where a collection of pus forms behind one of the tonsils. It causes severe throat pain, difficulty swallowing, and fever, requiring prompt medical attention. What is the most common English name for the bird with the taxonomical name Crex crex, also known as the landrail? Corncrake. The corncrake Crex crex is a migratory bird belonging to the rail family, known for its distinctive loud, creaking call. It is often found in hay meadows and grassland habitats, and its conservation status is a concern in some regions due to habitat loss. Which rank in the Royal Navy is equivalent to that of brigadier in the Army? Commodore. In many navies, including the Royal Navy, the rank of Commodore is senior to a captain and junior to a rear admiral. It is typically equivalent to a brigadier in the Army or a group captain in the Air Force, often commanding a squadron or a formation of ships. What name is popularly applied to the church tower of St. Botolph's in Boston, Lincolnshire? The Boston Stump. The Boston Stump is the popular name for the magnificent tower of St. Botolph's Church in Boston, Lincolnshire, England. This medieval parish church is one of the largest in England and its prominent tower serves as a significant landmark, visible for many miles across the flat fenland. In which gland in the human body would you find the small clusters of cells known as the islets of Langerhans? Pancreas. The islets of Langerhans are microscopic clusters of endocrine cells located in the pancreas. These islets are crucial for regulating blood glucose levels as they contain cells that produce and secrete hormones like insulin and glucagon, which play vital roles in carbohydrate metabolism. Clarissa Churchill was the second wife of which British Prime Minister? Anthony Eden. Anthony Eden served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1955 to 1957. Clarissa Churchill was his second wife, making her a notable figure in British political history and society. Described by Elizabeth I as the fairest and godliest church in England, in which city is the Church of St. Mary Redcliffe? Bristol. St. Mary Redcliffe is a large Anglican parish church in Bristol, England, renowned for its Gothic architecture. Queen Elizabeth I reputedly praised it during her visit in 1574, highlighting its historical and architectural significance. Which river flows through what is known in English as the Iron Gate, the deepest gorge in Europe? Danube. The Iron Gate is a spectacular gorge on the Danube River, forming a natural border between Serbia and Romania. It is recognized as the deepest gorge in Europe and is a significant geographical feature of the region. Who was Minister of Education when the 1944 Education Act was passed? R. A. Butler. R. A. Butler, or Richard Austin Butler, was the Minister of Education responsible for introducing the 1944 Education Act. This landmark legislation, often called the Butler Act, profoundly reshaped the British education system, establishing a new framework for post-war schooling. What was formerly the highest appointment in the British Army, being abolished in 1904? Commander-in-Chief. The Commander-in-Chief was historically the supreme operational commander of the British Army. This senior role was abolished in 1904 as part of broader military reforms, transferring command responsibilities to the newly established Army Council. Which Dutch astronomer and physicist, who discovered the rings of Saturn in the mid-1650s, is credited with building the first pendulum clock? Christiaan Huygens. Christiaan Huygens was a brilliant Dutch astronomer, physicist, and mathematician of the 17th century. He is celebrated for correctly identifying the rings of Saturn and for inventing the pendulum clock, which significantly advanced timekeeping accuracy. What is the motto of the Salvation Army? Blood and Fire. The Salvation Army is an evangelical Christian church and international charitable organization known for its extensive social work and humanitarian aid. Its motto, Blood and Fire, reflects its theological principles, symbolizing the blood of Jesus, atonement, and the fire of the Holy Spirit, sanctification. Which religious movement was founded by Mary Baker Eddy? Christian Science. Christian Science is a religious movement founded by Mary Baker Eddy in the late 19th century. Its foundational text is Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, emphasizing spiritual healing and the belief in the allness of God. Which fashion designer introduced the new look in 1947? Christian Dior. Christian Dior revolutionized post-World War II fashion with his iconic new look collection in 1947. This style, characterized by rounded shoulders, a cinched waist, and a full, calf-length skirt, symbolized a return to luxury and femininity. The second largest state of India in terms of land area, which includes the cities of Bhopal, Indore, and Jabalpur, is called what? Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is a large state in central India, renowned for its rich history, cultural heritage, and significant natural resources. Bhopal is its capital, while Indore and Jabalpur are other major cities and economic hubs within the state. In which landlocked country of Europe were women denied the right to vote in national elections until 1971? Switzerland. Switzerland was one of the last countries in Europe to grant women the right to vote in federal elections, which finally occurred in 1971. This delayed suffrage was largely due to its decentralized political system and direct democracy, requiring male voter approval in referendums. What is M31, the most distant object visible to the naked eye? Andromeda Galaxy. M31 refers to the Andromeda Galaxy, a spiral galaxy approximately 2.5 million light-years from Earth. It is the closest large galaxy to the Milky Way and the only one visible to the naked eye from Earth under dark sky conditions, appearing as a faint, fuzzy patch. Which small, white flower was once popularly known as fair maid of February? Snowdrop. The snowdrop, Galanthus nivalis, is a small, white flowering plant known for being one of the first flowers to bloom in late winter or early spring, often pushing through snow. Its early appearance gave rise to its endearing popular name, Fair Maid of February. Which Gilbert and Sullivan opera, first performed at the Savoy Theatre in 1887, was billed as a new and original supernatural opera in 2 acts? Ruddigore. Ruddigore, or The Witch's Curse, is one of the comic operas created by W. S. Gilbert and Arthur Sullivan, premiering in 1887. The work satirizes Victorian melodrama and features a plot involving a curse that compels the baronets of Ruddigore to commit a daily crime. Which iconic statue, depicting a fairy tale figure, was designed by sculptor Edward Erickson using his wife as a model for the head and torso? The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid, Den Lille Havfru, is a bronze statue by Edward Erickson, located on a rock in the Copenhagen harbor. Unveiled in 1913, it depicts a mermaid transforming into a human and is based on Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, becoming an iconic symbol of Copenhagen. What type of goods did a cordwainer traditionally manufacture, according to this archaic term for an artisan? Shoes or boots. A cordwainer is an archaic term for a shoemaker, specifically one who makes new shoes from new leather, in contrast to a cobbler who repairs shoes. The term originates from cordwain, a fine leather from Cordoba, Spain, highlighting the craft's historical prestige. Which country was historically notable for being the only nation where women were legally prohibited from driving? Saudi Arabia. Until June 2018, Saudi Arabia was the only country in the world where women were legally prohibited from driving, a ban that drew significant international criticism. The lifting of this ban marked a major social reform and a step forward for women's rights in the kingdom. What name is given to the sector of Antarctica claimed by New Zealand? The Ross Dependency. The Ross Dependency is a sector of Antarctica claimed by New Zealand, encompassing an area of the continent and various islands. While territorial claims in Antarctica are generally not recognized by most nations, New Zealand maintains administrative oversight in this region, particularly concerning scientific research and environmental protection. Which castle, part of Edward I's 13th century, iron ring, of fortifications along the Welsh coast, is located on the island of Anglesey? Beaumaris Castle. Beaumaris Castle, located on Anglesey, Wales, is one of the 4 castles comprising Edward I's iron ring of fortifications, constructed in the late 13th century. Known for its concentric design and perfect symmetry, it represents a pinnacle of medieval military architecture, though it was never fully completed. Which iconic sculpture, unveiled in 1994, was colloquially nicknamed the Gateshead Flasher by local residents? The Angel of the North. The Angel of the North is a contemporary sculpture designed by Anthony Gormley, located in Gateshead, England. While commissioned in 1994, it was publicly unveiled in February 1998. Standing 20 meters tall with a 54-meter wingspan, it is one of Britain's most recognizable artworks, symbolizing the region's industrial past and future aspirations. Which district of New York City is situated north of 96th Street in Manhattan? Harlem. Harlem is a historically significant neighborhood located in Upper Manhattan, New York City, generally considered to be north of 96th Street. It is renowned for its rich cultural history and its pivotal role as a major African American cultural and business center. The village on Anglesey, famous for its long place name, Clanfire PWLLGWYNGYLL, etc., was the location of the first ever meeting in 1915 of which nationwide organization, originally founded in Canada? The Women's Institute. The Women's Institute is a significant voluntary organization for women in the UK, established in 1915 to empower women through education and community involvement. Its inaugural meeting in Britain took place in the village of Clanfire PWLLG Winjilgogerichwendrobyantisiliogogogoch on the island of Anglesey. If something ossifies, what does it turn into? Bone. Ossification, also known as osteogenesis, is the biological process by which bone is formed. It involves the deposition of mineral salts, primarily calcium phosphate, into a matrix, leading to the hardening of tissues into bone. What type of leaf forms the bulk of a silkworm's diet? Mulberry. Silkworms, the larvae of the domestic silk moth, Bombyx mori, predominantly feed on mulberry leaves. This specific diet is crucial for their growth and the production of high-quality silk, making mulberry cultivation integral to sericulture. Which famous author wrote the novels, The Light That Failed, 1871, Captains Courageous, 1876, and Kim, 1901? Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling was a celebrated English short story writer, poet, and novelist. He received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1907, making him the first English-language writer to be awarded the prize. His works like Kim are considered classics of English literature. Which Gilbert and Sullivan opera, which premiered in 1889, is also known by the alternative name, The King of Bertharia? The Gondoliers. The Gondoliers is a comic opera by Gilbert and Sullivan, which premiered in 1889. It is also known as The King of Bertharia, referring to the plot's central dilemma of identifying the true king of the fictional kingdom. Gilbert and Sullivan were renowned for their Savoy operas, which satirized Victorian society. Which famous author wrote the novels, Indian Camp, 1926, A Farewell to Arms, 1929, and The Short, Happy Life of Francis Macomber, 1935? Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway was an influential American novelist, short story writer, and journalist. He received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954 for his mastery of the art of narration. His distinctive sparse style had a significant impact on 20th-century fiction, and A Farewell to Arms is one of his most celebrated works. The Kalahari Desert covers approximately 70% of which country? Botswana. The Kalahari Desert is a vast semi-arid sandy savanna in southern Africa, covering much of Botswana and parts of Namibia and South Africa. Its substantial coverage in Botswana profoundly influences the country's geography, climate, and ecological systems, supporting unique wildlife adapted to arid conditions. What is the 7-letter medical term for the shoulder blade? Scapula. The scapula, commonly known as the shoulder blade, is a flat, triangular bone situated in the upper back. It serves as a vital attachment point for muscles and ligaments, facilitating a wide range of motion and stability in the shoulder joint. If all the elements in the periodic table were placed in alphabetical order, which would be the last listed that is represented by a single letter symbol? Yttrium. Yttrium, Y, is a chemical element with atomic number 39. Among elements represented by a single letter symbol, when listed alphabetically, yttrium would appear last. This question tests knowledge of elemental symbols and their alphabetical order. Which 7-letter word is the medical term used for the breastbone? Sternum. The sternum, commonly known as the breastbone, is a long flat bone located in the central part of the chest. It connects to the ribs via cartilage, forming the front of the rib cage, and functions to protect vital organs like the heart and lungs. Which organization, formed in 1824, has the motto, Train One, Save Many? RNLI. The Royal National Lifeboat Institution, RNLI, founded in 1824, is a major charity dedicated to saving lives at sea around the coasts of the UK, Ireland, the Channel Islands, and the Isle of Man. It operates a 24-hour lifeboat search and rescue service and a seasonal lifeguard service. The Gobi Desert is situated in China and which other country? Mongolia. The Gobi Desert is a large cold desert and semi-desert region in Asia. It spans significant parts of northern China and southern Mongolia. It is recognized as the 6th largest desert in the world and is known for its extreme temperatures and unique ecosystem. Which 11-letter word describes a person who performs on a tightrope? Funambulist. Funambulism, or tightrope walking, is an ancient art form involving balance and agility. The term, funambulist, is derived from Latin, where, funis, means rope and, ambulare, means to walk. In Greek mythology, what was the name of the giant with 100 eyes who was slain by Hermes? Argus. Argus Panoptes, often simply called Argus, was a primordial giant in Greek mythology known for having 100 eyes. He served Hera as a vigilant watchman before being slain by Hermes, an event often depicted in classical art and literature. The flag of Haiti consists of which two colors? Blue and red. The national flag of Haiti features two horizontal bands, blue on top and red on the bottom. Adopted in 1803, the blue and red colors are derived from the French tricolor, symbolizing the union of black and mulatto citizens. In Greek mythology, what was the name of the three-headed dog that guards the gates of the underworld? Cerberus. Cerberus is the multi-headed dog, most commonly depicted with 3 heads, that guards the entrance to the underworld in Greek mythology. He prevents the dead from leaving and the living from entering without permission, notably overcome by Heracles as one of his 12 labors. The flag of Tunisia consists of which two colors? Red and white. The national flag of Tunisia is primarily red with a white disc in the center, containing a red crescent and a red 5-pointed star. This design, adopted in 1959, is largely inspired by the Ottoman flag and symbolizes Islam and independence. Which 9-letter word, taken from the Aboriginal language, is used by Australians for an oxbow lake or stagnant pond? Billabong. A billabong is an oxbow lake, an isolated pond left behind after a river changes course, or a stagnant pool of water. The term originates from the Aboriginal Wiradjuri language, where billa means river and bong means dead. Oberon is a moon of which planet in our solar system? Uranus. Oberon is the second largest moon of Uranus and the 9th most massive moon in the solar system. Discovered by William Herschel in 1787, it is named after the mythical king of the fairies in Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. Which city hosted the 2014 Commonwealth Games? Glasgow. Glasgow, Scotland, hosted the 2014 Commonwealth Games, an international multi-sport event involving athletes from the Commonwealth of Nations. It was the 3rd time Scotland hosted the Games, with Edinburgh having done so in 1970 and 1986. Which 11-letter word describes the study of weather? Meteorology. Meteorology is the scientific study of the atmosphere and its phenomena, particularly those that relate to weather and weather forecasting. It is a branch of the atmospheric sciences, focusing on atmospheric chemistry and physics. In which northern British city can you find Waverley Railway Station? Edinburgh. Waverley Railway Station is a major central railway station in Edinburgh, Scotland, serving as a significant transport hub connecting the city with other parts of the UK. It is one of the busiest stations in Scotland and a prominent landmark. Taking office on April 26, 1939, then again on December 19, 1949, who was Australian Prime Minister at the start of World War II? Robert Mingus. Sir Robert Mingus was a prominent Australian statesman who served as Prime Minister twice. His first term began just before the outbreak of World War II, during which he committed Australia to supporting the United Kingdom. Taking office on September 5, 1939 until June 4, 1948, who was South African Prime Minister for the vast majority of World War II? Jan Smuts. Jan Smuts was a distinguished South African statesman and military leader. He served as Prime Minister of South Africa during both World War I and World War II, playing a crucial role in the Allied war effort and in the founding of the League of Nations and the United Nations. In which southern British city can you find St. James Park Railway Station? Exeter. St. James Park Railway Station is located in Exeter, a historic city in Devon, England. The station primarily serves the St. James Park area, including the nearby football stadium, and is part of the extensive British railway network. Which British businessman, Liberal Party politician, and fraudster was at the centre of an 1892 scandal when the Liberator Building Society, which he had set up, failed, leaving thousands of investors penniless? He later fled to Argentina before being extradited, tried, and imprisoned for 14 years. Jabez Balfour. Jabez Spencer Balfour was a British businessman and Liberal politician notorious for the Liberator Building Society scandal of 1892. His fraudulent financial schemes led to the society's collapse, causing widespread hardship for thousands of investors. He was eventually extradited from Argentina, tried, and sentenced to a significant prison term for his crimes. Which lavender-like color takes its name from the French word for mallow? Mauve. The color mauve is a pale purple, often described as lavender-like, and its name is derived from the French word mauve, which refers to the mallow flower. The mallow plant is known for its delicate purple blooms, inspiring the color's nomenclature. Which island, famous for its monastery, lies off the coast of South Wales just south of Tenby? Polity. Polity Island is a small island situated off the coast of South Wales, near the town of Tenby in Pembrokeshire. It is famous for Polity Abbey, a working Cistercian monastery that has been a spiritual home for monks for many centuries, known for its tranquil atmosphere and spiritual significance. Which small island, situated just off Holy Island on the northwest coast of Anglesey, is famous as being the location of one of Wales's most spectacular lighthouses? South Stack. South Stack is an island off Anglesey, Wales, renowned for its iconic lighthouse. The South Stack Lighthouse, built in 1800 to 1809, guides ships through the treacherous waters of the Irish Sea and is a popular tourist attraction. In which war did the Battle of Hamburger Hill take place? Vietnam. The Battle of Hamburger Hill was a significant engagement during the Vietnam War in May 1969. US and South Vietnamese forces fought against the North Vietnamese army for control of Dong Ap Bia Mountain in a bloody 10-day battle. In which war did the Battle of Cabin Creek take place? American Civil War. The Battle of Cabin Creek was fought during the American Civil War in the Indian Territory, present-day Oklahoma. There were two engagements, the first in July 1863 and the second in September 1864, both involving Union and Confederate forces. Which English monarch, who reigned from 1422 to 1461 and then briefly from 1470 to 1471, was stabbed to death in the Tower of London in 1471? Henry VI. Henry VI was King of England during the turbulent period of the Wars of the Roses. His reign was marked by political instability and mental illness. He was ultimately murdered in the Tower of London in 1471, likely on the orders of Edward IV, bringing an end to the Lancastrian line. Which English monarch, who reigned from 1377 to 1399, met his death in Pontefract Castle in 1400, probably by starvation? Richard II. Richard II was King of England whose reign ended with his deposition by Henry Bolingbroke, later Henry IV. He died in captivity at Pontefract Castle in 1400, widely believed to have been starved to death, solidifying the Lancastrian claim to the throne. Translated as Cluster of Eight, and situated in the Pacific Ocean, what name did the Ellice Islands adopt upon gaining independence in 1978? Tuvalu. The Ellice Islands, an archipelago in the Pacific Ocean, gained independence from the United Kingdom in 1978. They subsequently adopted the name Tuvalu, which means, eight standing together, or, cluster of eight, in the Tuvaluan language, reflecting its 8 inhabited islands. In the USA, what is the value of a banknote sometimes referred to as a Benjamin? $100. In the United States, a $100 banknote is commonly nicknamed a Benjamin. This refers to Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers, whose portrait is featured on the obverse side of the bill. What is the national currency of Brazil? Real. The national currency of Brazil is the real, plural, reais. It was introduced in 1994 as part of an economic stabilization plan to combat hyperinflation, replacing the Cruzeiro real and bringing economic stability to the country. Who, upon her execution on October 16, 1793, was known as the Widow Capet? Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette was the last queen of France before the French Revolution. Executed by guillotine on October 16, 1793, she was referred to as Widow Capet during her trial, emphasizing her loss of royal status and association with the dethroned Capetian monarchy. In the New Testament, which book follows Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Acts. The book of Acts, often referred to as Acts of the Apostles, is the fifth book of the New Testament. It recounts the history of the early Christian church after the resurrection of Jesus, detailing the spread of Christianity from Jerusalem to Rome. Which landlocked country in West Africa had previous names, French Upper Volta, and from 1958 to 1984 inches, Republic of Upper Volta? Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is a landlocked country in West Africa. Formerly a French colony known as French Upper Volta, it gained independence in 1960 and was renamed Burkina Faso in 1984 by Thomas Sankara, meaning, Land of the Upright People. In the Old Testament, which book follows Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers? Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is the fifth book of the Old Testament and the final book of the Torah, Pentateuch. It primarily consists of Moses' farewell speeches to the Israelites before they enter the Promised Land, reiterating the law and emphasizing the covenant with God. Who, on January 31, 1606, was executed along with three other prisoners, Thomas Wintour, Ambrose Rookwood, and Robert Keyes? Guy Fawkes. Guy Fawkes was a member of the Gunpowder Plot, an attempt by a group of English Roman Catholics to assassinate King James I and blow up the Houses of Parliament on November 5, 1605. Fawkes was discovered guarding explosives beneath the House of Lords and was subsequently executed for treason on January 31, 1606. What is the national currency of Indonesia? Rupiah. The rupiah, IDR, is the official currency of Indonesia. Its name is derived from the Sanskrit word, rupaya, which means, wrought silver, or, silver coin, similar to the Indian rupee. Which town in West Yorkshire takes its name from the Latin for, broken bridge? Pontefract. Pontefract is a market town in West Yorkshire, England. Its name is derived from Latin, pontem fractum, meaning, broken bridge, referring to an ancient bridge over the River Aire that was reportedly broken by King William I in the 11th century. This historical linguistic detail is a classic general knowledge fact. Taking office on May 4, 1979, who was Margaret Thatcher's first Chancellor of the Exchequer? Geoffrey Howe. Geoffrey Howe served as Margaret Thatcher's first Chancellor of the Exchequer from 1979 to 1983. His tenure was marked by significant economic reforms, including the 1981 budget which introduced controversial monetarist policies to curb inflation. This appointment was crucial in shaping the early economic direction of the Thatcher government. What is the name of the curved knife traditionally used by Gurkha soldiers? Kukri. The kukri, or khukuri, is a distinctive Nepalese knife, recognized by its inwardly curved blade. It serves as both a utility tool and a traditional weapon of the Gurkhas, renowned soldiers from Nepal who serve in the British and Indian armies. The kukri is a significant part of Gurkha culture and identity. Designed in the USA and first created by knife maker James Black, which large knife, 6 to 24 inches in length, first became famous in an 1827 brawl known as the Sandbar Fight. Bowie knife. The Bowie knife is a type of fixed-blade fighting knife popular in the United States since the 19th century. Its design is attributed to James Black, and it gained notoriety after Jim Bowie used a similar knife in the legendary Sandbar Fight in 1827. This iconic knife is deeply associated with American frontier history and self-defense. Sb is the chemical symbol for which element? Antimony. Sb is the chemical symbol for antimony, a metalloid element with atomic number 51. The symbol, Sb, comes from stibium, its ancient Latin name. Antimony has various applications, including in flame retardants, ceramics, enamels, and lead alloys.